Well, to try and break all of this down for us now, let's bring in our Dave Keating in Brussels. Dave, first of all, there's a press conference that's happening right now. What's coming out of that so far?
Yeah, this announcement is happening as we speak. It's complicated, so let me try to break it down. There's essentially two very significant changes that are being made to the export mechanism today. Up till now, the mechanism targeted companies. So if a company hasn't met its commitments to the EU through its advanced purchase orders, then the EU could block shipments of that company to any particular country. The country wasn't important, it was the company. And that so far has only applied to AstraZeneca, because they've only delivered 1/3 of what was promised in the first quarter and less than half, it looks like, for the second quarter. But the other companies, Pfizer and Moderna, they are meeting their delivery schedule. What this is doing is extending the mechanism to make it so you could target countries. You could say, we're blocking this shipment because it's going to a country that has high production capacity for vaccines, but isn't sharing, isn't exporting any. This principle of reciprocity. That means that the EU could, in theory, block Pfizer exports to the UK, and that's a very big deal. The UK, we know, received 10 million doses from the EU in the 6 weeks between January 31st and March 17th alone. Those, we understand, were mostly Pfizer. That's 3/4 of the vaccine doses that the UK gave out during that time. That means that if the EU were to restrict these Pfizer doses, it would slow the UK's vaccination rollout significantly. They could only give out maybe 1/3 of what they had predicted. And not only would that slow the UK's campaign, but it would also put people at risk who have just received one dose. Don't forget the UK has pursued a outlier delayed second dose strategy, delaying second doses by 12 weeks. It's not clear whether they saved second Pfizer doses to give to people. And so it could mean that people lapse that time period in which they really need to take that second Pfizer dose. The second change is that neighboring countries such as Switzerland, Serbia, Israel, they will no longer be exempt from this transparency mechanism. I was told by an EU source this morning that's because they're worried that those neighboring countries could be used as a kind of loophole for companies to get vaccines out of the EU. And in fact, there's been rumors that this treasure trove of vaccines discovered in Italy this morning, according to Italian media, millions and millions of doses from this facility in Italy were supposed to go to the UK. And possibly AstraZeneca was planning on exporting these to a third country, maybe Switzerland, that doesn't have the transparency mechanism acquired to it, and then going to the UK. So that's the point of that second change, but it will majorly affect these neighboring countries like Serbia, Switzerland, and Israel.
So, Dave, just give us some more context here. How did it get to this point? Why is the EU doing this now?
Well, the EU is angry because it's fallen to the EU to supply doses to the whole world. The EU is the largest exporter of vaccines. Meanwhile, the US and the UK are exporting zero. That's because the supply chains were built around an assumption that the UK and US would export zero. That means that doses made in the US cannot go to countries like Canada, Japan, Mexico, and those countries need to be supplied by facilities in the EU. And therefore, doses made in the EU can't stay in Europe. They need to go abroad. And the EU is quite angry about this. It looks like around half of doses made in the EU were exported so far, because we know that 41 million under the transparency mechanism have been approved for export, but that doesn't include all of the countries that are exempt, roughly 120 countries, and it doesn't include exports that happened before January 31st. So the big emphasis here is that this is only fair, that Europeans should be able to have delivery met from plants within the EU.
Dave, thanks so much for that. That's Dave Keating reporting from Brussels.